Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel. He's Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., the man who knows everything about everybody. Clarence, this is a horrible week because it's 158 degrees, and it will be for the next 2.5 months. But I'm excited for this reason. Indiana Jones is coming back for the 5th time, and I can't wait. I'm going to see the movie tonight with my daughter. She's excited. I can't wait for Indiana Jones. He's my favorite character ever. I don't care if it sucks. It's going to be the greatest movie ever. I'm excited about it. Clarence, you're not going to rain on my parade. Are you an Indiana Jones fan, yes or no?
How can you not be a fan of Harrison Ford?
I know. This guy's 78 years old.
I don't know what he's still doing Indiana Jones movies for, but I mean, come on. You got your Indiana. Yeah, of course. Does he need the money? Does he need the money? Okay. No. But no, hey.
And he's been married 3 times.
Okay, does he have a new baby? Okay, like Al Pacino. Al Pacino has a new baby. And Robert De Niro has a new baby. And
Pacino has a new baby. De Niro has a new baby. Harrison Ford has 5 kids. Yeah, I know. He's almost like becoming like a Dwight Howard guy. I think De Niro is in Dwight Howard, or not De Niro, Pacino's like in Dwight Howard territory in terms of his passion for having children. Clarence, when you were a kid, who was your favorite pop culture figure? Or did you geek out like I am right now for this?
Yeah, I was not a geek out guy. I'm sorry. I was a sports guy. I was a favorite sports figure guy.
Who was your favorite? Was your favorite sports figure like Tony D?
Earl Campbell, Tony D, those were my guys, yeah.
Well, I hate to break it to you.
I mean,
I hate to break it to you.
Indiana Jones is bigger than they are?
No. No, they are. Because it's global. And baseball, like hockey stars, are probably bigger than some football stars just because that's a global.
How about Michael Jackson? I'll take Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson is a good one. Michael Jackson, man, he's global. Did you ever get to see him perform live, by the way?
I did. I got some to perform at the Houston Livestock Show.
Wow.
With the Jackson 5.
Did you really?
And actually, I saw him in San Antonio as well. We went by his hotel. I'll never forget. They were staying at the Hyatt Regency downtown, but I'll never forget that.
What was the show like?
Nah,
can't remember.
Can't remember at all. I was really.
When I was a kid, we were talking about before we came live here. We were talking to our producer, Candy Bolton, and Candy's mother grew up in Gary, Indiana,
right,
which is a few hours north of where I grew up in Indianapolis. And I remember when the Thriller album came out, and everybody bought the jacket and all that other stuff. And it was a huge deal. Well, he was going to do a concert in Indianapolis. And we were like, oh, my God, I can't believe Michael Jackson is going to come to Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a huge deal. Nobody comes to Indianapolis. And they couldn't fit the stage inside the RCA Dome. So they canceled the show. We never saw them.
That's crazy. They went everywhere. They were young guys. Courtney Candy, her aunt, competed against the Jacksons in a talent show when they were young. They're all from Gary, Indiana. So, this was before they were stars, before they were big, they were competing against Candy's aunt. And because they beat Candy's aunt is why they made it. Okay, if they wouldn't have beat Candy's aunt in that talent show, they wouldn't have made it. It'd be Candy's aunt that would have been a world famous icon of music.
Did you ever get to compete against anybody famous in a talent show or a sports game like when you were a kid? Anybody went on college or pro?
No. I competed. No. I was from Schulenburg, Texas. I competed against nobody famous.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was a kid who was younger than me by a year or two. I think he was a year behind me. And we played in a pickup basketball game. His name was Derek Mays. And Derek went on to play at Notre Dame football, and then he played for the Seahawks, the Packers. He had a really nice career. So that was my one brush when I was a kid.
If I would just pull back the curtain just a little bit, guy I played Little League Baseball with, who I grew up with, used to be the manager of the Double-A baseball team, Rangers, Joe Mikulik. If you Google him, he's a famous minor league manager that throws tantrums and throwing, he's known for throwing bases and really getting on umpires. And he was actually a manager here for the Rangers Double-A team in Frisco.
I do want to say one thing.
Baseball player.
I do want to say one thing, as you rightly give me a hard time about being an Indiana Jones geek. Sir, there is no difference between the Comic-Con movie pop culture geek and a sports geek who goes to the card shows. We're all the same.
No, that's not. Oh,
No,
it goes to,
if you're wearing,
goes to the cards. Yeah, I'm not.
Even games, we're all the same. No. If you're wearing Spock gear, if you're wearing an Earl Campbell jersey, that's no different than the dork wearing Spock ears or Indiana Jones.
Yes, it is.
We're all the same.
At least Earl is real. Earl is a real person. Earl's a real person. Those people are not real. Those are not real. It's like people. It's like, and I'm gonna get in trouble. It's like wrestling fans, okay, trying to go and geek it out over wrestling. But it's
all the same. But it's in the same under the same strata of fandom. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. And we can do a whole show on this. We can do.
We are.
You're a fandom of something that's fake. That's not real. That's imaginary. That's made up. Athletes are real live human beings. They win something real that's tangible that they can touch.
Okay.
This is fake. But you can take pride as a city, as a person. You can take pride in something the Cowboys do, or the Mavericks do, or the Rangers do, or the Texas Longhorns, or the Kansas Jayhawks, or whatever else. You can't take pride in what Superman does.
You can take pride in whatever
you pride.
You can take pride in what Superman does.
But the whole idea,
okay, the person sitting
there's no
in
personal
the
pride in that.
Clarence,
See, I cannot believe you're a sports guy. You should understand the depth of being
I will go out and play basketball today. I suck. I will go out and play basketball. I am not Steph Curry. I put this hat on. I am not Indiana Jones. I'm not going to outrun a boulder. When I watch these people perform, I am sitting in the same seat, basically.
Stop
it. Okay. Clarence picked on me today for a fine column I wrote in the Fort Worth Star Telegram where I talked to Cowboys quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien, where I asked him, because I heard this a lot after the Cowboys playoff loss in San Francisco, is Dak doesn't see it. Dak doesn't see it. Dak doesn't see it.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Okay. So Clarence asks, and he takes a very passive-aggressive shot at me.
No, it really wasn't.
I might add.
Go ahead. It wasn't just about you, but go ahead.
You just said it was about me.
I did. It was.
Oh, now we're backtracking.
Pose the question. Clarence asked what?
Clarence says, written this down. Clarence says, no more Dak interception dissection.
And so it wasn't just you. It's been a cottage industry. I think Dak has made so many people much money. All these, I mean.
Talking about interceptions?
Yes. It's like it's like a whole cottage industry of, I need content. Oh, let's talk about Dak. I need content. Let's talk about Dak's interceptions. It's not. I got into it with Dan Orlovsky 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, Kurt Warner did a whole piece on Dak's interceptions. Your column comes out, and it's just been a stream of talking points on Dak's interceptions since the end of the season. When is it going to stop? When is it?
It won't. It won't.
When is it going to stop? It's like we need something to talk about. Hey, let's talk about Dak's interceptions. Hey, let's talk about Dak's interceptions. That's good story generation.
But, because it's Cowboys. Okay, and Dak knows it. Dak gets it. We did the same thing to Tony Romo. It's the end of June. We got to talk about the NFL. Let's go Cowboys Overtime. Thank you, Window Nation. Hang on. Clarence, in his last 31 games, combined, that's regular season and playoffs, the man's thrown 28 interceptions. They're going to talk about it. It's a talking point. And if you're the NFL Network, NFL.com, StarTelegram.com, whomever, whatever media outlet you cover sports and the Cowboys, this is a point of discussion, and it's not going to go away until he has a string of games where he doesn't throw any picks. I don't care whose fault it is. We talked about it, but Clarence, you and I both like the guy a lot, but he knows that this is not going away until minimum September 25th.
You know how many interceptions Brett Favre threw a season?
A trillion, and we talked about him all the time.
A season. What I'm saying is 15 interceptions is not a lot. I mean, I get all that. And you said 28 interceptions. How many games? 30 games?
28 interceptions in his last 31 games. That's regular season, postseason combined.
That's not a lot. I mean, we want to make it a lot.
Almost won a game.
That's not a big deal. How many touchdowns did he throw at that time?
Let me look at that.
I know you because you didn't look at that stat.
No, I did. No, that's a valid. No, that's a valid point. But Clarence,
I know. How many points did the Cowboys score during those?
A lot. Okay, but Clarence, when you look at the playoff loss, when the here's why it's
now you dissected one game. See, I thought
no, I'm not. Well, that's the one that matters. The season ended.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So it doesn't matter all these interceptions. 31. If they win the playoffs, we're not talking about this.
But they didn't win.
I understand that, but my point is, like I asked Dan Orlovsky last week, did we have a show after last season dissecting the interceptions of the interception leader in 2021? No, we did not. We did not do a think piece. No, it's not. But let me finish. Let me finish. We did not do a think piece. I watched. There were no think pieces last year, the year before on the guy who led the league in interceptions. And do you know who led the league in turnovers last year?
No, Dak.
No, it was not. It was the Buffalo Bills quarterback.
That's why Josh Allen was a turnover machine. Yeah, you're right.
But we have not. But we have not seen each outlet do a breakdown of every turnover down, and he's not made the Super Bowl. Okay. Not seen anybody break down every turnover that Josh Allen made. It's only because of Dak, only because of content. Yes, the Cowboys know Dak needs to get better. Dak knows he needs to stop turning the ball over. Dak has not been a turnover machine if you look at the bulk of his career. But now it's an issue. Why? It's an issue that's invented our own head. It's an issue invented because we need something to talk about. That's all I'm saying. We don't break down everybody's interceptions like that.
Your point's valid, and the reason why they're not going to go into Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or the guy in Jacksonville or the guy in Arizona or whatever else is because the Dallas Cowboys are a signature celebrity franchise of professional football. And whomever is the quarterback of the Cowboys enjoys a lot more side benefits of that job as opposed to those guys in Buffalo and someplace else. Tony Romo is the CBS color commentator with the top spot because he was the quarterback of the Cowboys. If he had been the quarterback in Jacksonville, he would not be in that spot. He just wouldn't. And Dak understands that. Dak's got major national corporate marketing opportunities because he's the quarterback with the Cowboys. And this is the part of the spotlight that's just the trade. They're going to look at you harder with a bigger microscope and a bigger lens than they do the guy in Buffalo. Is it unfair? Yeah, but you can make an argument and say, well, gee whiz, it's kind of unfair that the guy that Dak gets all these opportunities, all these extra commercial opportunities. Well, that's the way it goes. Okay, we got to move on. No, we do, because we talked way more than we thought we were going to. Texas Rangers are in first place, as I predicted earlier in the offseason.
Lies.
It's sketchy. They do have a big 4-game series this weekend at Globe Life Mall. 4-game series against the Houston Astros in the Silver Boot Series. Apparently that's still a thing. Clarence, Rangers are in first place, 48-31. Anaheim is in second and 6 games back of the Astros, 42-37. There has been no team any better in baseball since the start of 2015 than the Astros. 4 World Series appearances, 2 World Series titles, 7 winning seasons. The COVID year was garbage. That doesn't count for anybody. Clarence, you and I both know these windows for championship teams last only so long. Are we looking at a changing at the top of the American League West? And Houston is going to start to slide. Texas potentially. Maybe Anaheim, maybe even Seattle. Oakland's dead for years now. Are we looking at the changing of the guard here at the top?
I think that's the way to see it. It's a long season. Let's we haven't gotten to the dog days of July yet, and let's see how the Astros in this season plays out. The Astros have a lot of injuries.
A lot.
And
they're getting older.
And that's played a role in where they are. But if they get to the postseason, who's going to count them out? But they got a lot of guys, Jose Altuve, Jordan Alvarez, guys that are not there playing every day for the Astros, who are a big part of their championship run. But this is about the Rangers and making the most of their opportunity. The Rangers I know when through 60 games, that was the best 60-game stretch they've ever had. I think there was 40-20 or something like that. They've never won that many games through the first 60 games, and they're keeping it going. So there's going to be up. That's not going to be smooth sailing. Anybody thinks it's going to be smooth sailing, they're not going to, have some losses and they're going to come back to the pack. That's folly. This is a long season.
No, you got 81 games left. They're going to reach the halfway point tomorrow, and they'll be at the 81, which is the halfway point of the Major League Baseball season. The Astros, as good as they are, eventually it just runs out of gas. Guys get older, guys get hurt, pitching doesn't hold up. They got rid of Justin Verlander. There's still obviously. I think one thing I keep always thinking about when I covered Major League Baseball 20 years ago, I covered Major League Baseball on a daily basis. And, we're looking at standings and whatever. And I think it was Fred McGriff who said, I really don't look at standings until about September 10th. I was a veteran. So I think if you're getting, caught too much up in the standings, don't look at it. Just how are they playing? Rangers are obviously really good. You don't have this many wins this late, in June by accident. They're really good. But you're right. Something's going to happen. It's going to go up and down. But it certainly is fun to talk about good Rangers baseball here in late June as opposed to crap.
And what I'm excited about, and this is not a Rangers thing, but I'm excited about that the Angels are finally competing.
Because of Ohtani?
Yeah, with Ohtani. I mean, they've had him for a couple of years, and they have not been relevant.
Yep.
The fact that they're right there in the thick of it, and we get to appreciate what Ohtani's doing and really up close and personal against the Rangers. But what he's doing, leading them in hits, home runs, and
pitching.
It's just amazing.
It is. I mean, I think
last night he had 2 home runs and 12 strikeouts or something like that.
Can you think of a better base? Barry Bonds is probably the best hitter of this era. Mike Trout's in the discussion. But Pujols was terrific. And, Barry Bonds, from a plate patience standpoint, was as good as any player, any batter that we've seen in the last 50 years. I think what we're watching Ohtani do, and you're right, it's great to see them. They're relevant. They're not in last place with a great player, last place with 2 great players.
Right.
They're competing with great talent and Mike Trout and Ohtani. But to me, I got to tell you right now, I'm having a hard time thinking I've seen better players than Ohtani and Jokic in the NBA, just because physically what they're doing everything.
Well, let's pump the brakes on Jokic.
Jokic is pretty special player. That's a 7-2 man leading the
I didn't say
break.
what you said ever you've seen best players ever seen. We're talking about
guys who we haven't seen this before. And we've
seen LeBron, we've seen Jordan. Stop it! Come on.
But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen a 7'2" man do what he did.
Let's table basketball for 1 second. Let's talk about Ohtani. We haven't seen in our lifetimes a guy who hits and pitches and does everything Ohtani does. Now that's an accurate statement. Now this whole Jokic thing. Come on, man. Come on.
Great player.
I need a listen. Basketball's about the rings. I need some rings. I need you.
He just got one.
Rings.
Okay, we talked forever. We need to take a break.
Considered among the greats in basketball. You need multiple rings.
I didn't say that. I'm just talking about.
You said the greatest you've ever seen.
No, I mean, Clarence, you got to.
You did say the greatest you've ever seen.
As a 7'2" center, Tim Duncan was amazing. But we're talking about a guy.
And that guy over in Dallas is pretty good too.
He is great.
I'm talking about Dirk.
Dirk was amazing. We're seeing all these guys improve on what that generated.
I need multiples.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come school Clarence on more topics here on Cowboys Overtime. Thank you, Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation, for your patience. Clarence and I went long in that first segment here of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. Not my fault, his fault. Clarence, the NBA draft was last week. I think like most everybody who follows basketball, with the exception of about 4 or 5 guys, most of us don't really know who these people are because they're drafted so young now. They're drafted on potential upside as opposed to what they did in college when most of us watch younger basketball players. The first pick of the draft went to the San Antonio Spurs, 7'2" phenom or 4 phenom, Victor Wembanyama. Not sure I'm buying this one, only because he's 7'4". And 7'4" men typically have a hard time with 82-game regular seasons. But we're going to talk about what the Dallas Mavericks did with the 10th overall pick, the pick that they tanked for. They took Kason Wallace from Kentucky. They traded him along with Davis Bertans to Oklahoma City for Duke center Derek Lively. Then they acquired from the Sacramento Kings rookie from Montreal, Olivier Maxence Prosper. And then they also acquired veteran forward center Richaun Holmes. Clarence, this do anything for you?
All I know is the pundits, the people that covered the NBA, love what the Mavericks did.
They did. Yep, they did.
The people that covered the NBA, no, those names don't do anything for me because a lot of it's upside, a lot of projection, but they're getting pieces that got younger, which is what they needed to do against. And what it also tells me, and this is the big part of it, it tells me that Kyrie's coming back. How the Mavericks maneuvered, everything they did. They gave one of the kids his number because Kyrie said he wanted number 11 when he came back, not number 2. So
Lively's going to get number 2.
Yeah. So all of this stuff tells me that Kyrie's coming back, and I, people can talk about what they want, the Kyrie Luka thing. When they were there, what went down with the Mavericks, they had nothing to do with Kyrie and Luka. Kyrie played well. It had nothing to do with Kyrie and Luka. What is the problem? What is the problem? Huh?
Yeah. This idea that they did really well. No, they didn't. They didn't make the playoffs.
I said
8 teams. Yes, 8 teams make the playoffs out of the Western Conference.
Well, they could have made it.
There's 15 teams.
They tanked. They finessed the league.
They tanked because they weren't going to make it.
No, they were going to make it. They tanked so they wouldn't have to give the Knicks that.
We don't know that.
That's why they tanked. That's why they got fined. They tanked. They tanked. They admittedly tanked. But okay, listen.
We didn't. How would we know the difference?
I don't know how we got on this tangent. Listen,
because
all I'm saying is, I didn't say the Mavericks season was a success.
I know, but you're sitting here rationalizing a trade that was a bust because when they put Irie, you have to put some of the failure of the Mavericks season on the trade players.
I'm not rationalizing the trade. We can go back and talk about what they should have done. Hell, they shouldn't have let the kid go to New York. We can go back and double and question everything they've done over the last year since they were in the Western Conference Finals. We can do all of that. I'm saying that what they were trying to do in the draft was put things around Luka and Kyrie to build for the future.
No doubt about it.
Kyrie were not the problem. Okay, what I'm saying is they're trying to put younger pieces around them, guys, rim protection, bigger guys, things to build for the future. That's all I'm saying.
And you're right about that. And everything, obviously the addition of JaVale McGee.
Candy, make sure you take that. You're right about that. I need that drop every time. You're not right about that.
You're right about
that. You're right about that.
I mean, it's kind of like telling me, hey, Mac, the sun's going to come up in the east.
Of course I am.
You're right about that. Clarence, they got bigger. They needed to get bigger.
That's what
they don't like JaVale McGee, even though they gave him a 3-year deal, and he's a nice guy. Clearly, they probably need to move on from Dwight Powell, but Mark Cuban really likes Dwight, and Dwight's a good pro and a good guy, but, I mean, come on. This is about Lively, and can Holmes give them? A couple of years ago, Richaun Holmes is a nice player for Sacramento, but as that team got better, his minutes decreased, and they needed to move on from him, which makes sense. But And, are you getting better? And I think with this draft, they got rid of Davis Bertans. He couldn't get on the floor for this team. He was such a liability defensively. They got rid. Christian Wood's gone. That one didn't work out. I do think Jason Kidd wants to play some defense. Some. You got to play some. And at least now you've got some guys that you can do something at the interior. When you watched last season, I remember a game last year I covered against Minnesota, and they made Rudy Gobert look like Tim Duncan. And Rudy Gobert has no offensive game at all. And he killed him. He killed him because there was nothing on the interior to stop him. And, they're going to have to do something in free agency. They got to get somebody. They got a mid-level exception. They'll do something with that. Free agency starts on the 1st. That's always, chaos. It's always fun. The Mavericks have always been kind of in the middle tier of teams that participate in it. They never get the top guys. They usually get a middle tier guy. They're going to keep Kyrie Irving, and I don't know if that's going to work or not. But if this is going to work with Luka long term, they've got to get better defensively. He's got to get better defensively. And they did make some moves that make them better in the interior, which is what they need. And as far as what Lively's going to be, nobody knows. It's impossible. Who knows? Or any of these other guys, I don't know. But I would say it would be really hard to look at what they did and criticize it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do anything. This is all about Luka and Kyrie, and can they stay healthy and can they get along? I don't know. But I would look at this draft and say, okay, it wasn't a bust. At least it shows some potential promise, and that's a reason to be optimistic.
Yeah, and you got to find a way to compete. I mean, the West is stacked still. I mean, Phoenix, what they've done, and Golden State adding Chris Paul, and
Sacramento.
Sacramento was good last year, and you still got Denver. And the greatest player ever to play.
Your words, Clarence. Cut that. Candy, cut that out where he says Denver and the greatest player ever.
Greatest player ever. Lace up his shoes. But no, it's going to be fun, and so you got to. And listen, I'm not. I love Jokic. I love his game. I mean, he's a shot making fool and all different that you certainly wouldn't expect. I mean, he has a body like you. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, how do you get up and down the court with that body?
Do you want to get out and play? You want to get out? A bunch of us both blow out our ACLs. All right. Summer's here. It's 110 degrees. Make sure to hydrate and stay inside between the hours of 1:30 in the morning and 1 in the morning. That 30-minute window between 1 and 1:30, you're probably safe to be outside when it's about 79 degrees. This has been fun. Clarence, stay cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on StarTelegram.com and Cowboys Overtime. We will see you next week.